Hello, everyone. Welcome to the session of Animal Kingdom Theory Part 2. Disclaimer: the images, text, and other material used in our presentations are for educational purposes only. We respect the intellectual property rights of the original creators and owners. If you are the owner and have any concerns or issue, please contact us at sathi@iitk.ac.in and we shall remove the content immediately. Please note that parts of the content may have been generated using the generative AI, which is totally experimental. So, learning objective of today's session. So, today is the second day for the chapter Animal Kingdom, second lecture of this chapter. Okay. So, in today's lecture, we are going to understand the basic characteristic and the body organization of the diploblastic. Diploblastic, that are the coelentrates and the ctenophora. This is the name of the phylum. The second and the third phylum. The first phylum was the Porifera, which we have studied yesterday, right? Diploblastic means the germinal layer isn't arranged in the two different layers, that is the ectoderm and endoderm. Diploblastic, coelentrates, and ctenophora. And the triploblastic, that is the Platyhelminthes, Aschelminthes. So today we are going to cover up the four phylum. Two belongs to the diploblastic and the two belongs to the triploblastic, right? To identify the distinguishing features of a respective phylum. Nidoblast in Coelentrata. Nidoblast, this is the type of cell that we see in the case of coelentrates, right? Coelentrates or the cnidarians. So in that, we see a very particular type of cells that is called as nidoblast cells, right? So this is the distinguishing feature of the Coelentrata. Comb plates. The comb plates are found only in the ctenophora, not in any other phylum. So this becomes the distinguishing feature of the ctenophora. Flatworms. Structure in the Platyhelminthes. The worms are flat, dorso-ventrally flattened, means the worms are very flat, like they are having one dorsal surface and one ventral surface in the case of Platyhelminthes. And pseudocoelom in Aschelminthes. Pseudocoelom, the body cavity, right? Aschelminthes. Recognize their ecological roles, life cycle, and evolutionary significance. So all these learning objectives we are going to cover up in today's lecture, right? Classification of animals index, that becomes the 4.2 section of our NCERT book. Phylum Coelentrata, that is the Cnidaria, 4.2.2. Phylum Ctenophora, 4.2.3. Phylum Platyhelminthes, 4.2.4. and phylum Aschelminthes, that is 4.2.5. And at the end, we will summarize today's lecture. Okay. So before going to the first phylum, Coelentrata, I'll just give a very quick recap of the first particular phylum, that is the Porifera. So Porifera, they are also called as sponges. And they are having cellular grade of organization because the cells are loosely arranged, right? So level of organization is cellular type that we have seen yesterday. Now they are mostly they are exclusively marine, but some are freshwater. Mostly they are marine, not exclusively. Mostly they are marine, but some are freshwater also reported. The next thing that we have seen in the case of poriferans, that they are attached to the surface. They are sessile. They are attached to the substratum, right? They are not free living poriferans. And one more thing, their body is having spongin fibers and spicules that helps them to make their body. They are having like a skeleton, that is the spongin fibers and spicules made the skeleton part of their body that makes the body there quite hard. Okay. And what else we have seen? They are having pore-like structure all over its body surface. Pore-like structure that is called as ostia. And that ostia leads to the inner cavity. The inner cavity which is called as the spongocoel cavity. Spongocoel cavity. And inside this cavity, the cavity is lined with a very special type of cell that is called as collar cells or the coinocytes. Right? So this is one of the distinguishing feature of this phylum. If we talk about the symmetry, then they do not have any symmetry, so they are asymmetrical. No symmetry is found there, right? Asymmetrical. What else the features we have seen? Sometimes the fragmentation can be seen in the poriferans. The body can be fragmented and each fragment behaves like a new individual. So asexual reproduction is done by the fragmentation process. But there we see in the case, we see that they are also having the asexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction, the gametes that are produced inside their body only, right? Sexual reproduction is also reported. Okay, so this is about the poriferans. Now we will move to the first phylum, Cnidaria or the coelentrates. They are aquatic. First thing, they are aquatic. Mostly marine, sessile or free living. So here what you see, a very different thing from the porifera, that some are free living, but some are sessile also. Sessile means they are attached to some substratum. They are attached to some substratum, right? Radially symmetrical. Radially symmetrical. Poriferans, no symmetry were reported. But here you can see they are radially symmetrical. Radially symmetrical means if you cut the organism from the central axis from many, like you can say, that is, you can divide from different planes, and that all plane passes through the central of axis, right? So that shows the radially symmetrical. So here you can see if you divide the organism from this, it will divide the organism into two equal halves. From here also, from here also. So the number of planes are there that could divide the organism into two equal halves. So that is showing the radially symmetrical. Now, the figure you see here, the Aurelia, they are having the Medusa stage, and Adamsia, they are having the polyp stage. So this point is very important to understand what is polyp and what is Medusa. Actually, the organism body are having two forms. The organism body means cnidarians exist in two forms. One is polyp and another is Medusa. The polyp you see here, they are having this spongocoel cavity, right? This is the cavity-like structure. Okay, inside there is a cavity. And what you see here, mouth. This is the mouth. Okay, the mouth is upward. The mouth is upward in polyp stage. And what type of body you see here? It is like tube or cylindrical shape, right? Primarily involved in feeding. So basically, the polyp stage is involved in feeding and protection to the organism. And if you see the examples, then some of the examples are there. Sea anemone, corals, and some hydrides. Okay. Now, see this one. Aurelia. Aurelia, it is bell shape. The bell shape. You have seen the bell, na? Okay. So here, either it is a bell shape or the umbrella shape. And they are sessile. They are free living. This one is sessile. The polyp is sessile, but this is the free living. And the mouth you see, the mouth is downward. The mouth is downward. This one, the Medusa stage, is involved in the sexual reproduction. Sessile means that they are attached to any substratum. They are not free to move here and there. They are attached to the substratum. They can be attached to any stone which is present inside the marine environment or on the bottom of the sea, right? So they are attached to the substratum. So that is called sessile. But free living means it can move from one place to another. That we see in the case of jellyfish, Aurelia. So mouth is downward, and basically the medusa stage is involved in the process of sexual reproduction. So these two stages, to understand these two stages are very, very important. The name Cnidaria is derived from the cnidoblast or the cnidocyte. Cnidoblast or the cnidocyte. This is a very special type of cell that is found in the case of cnidarians, right? Which contain the sting capsule or nematocyst. They contain the stinging capsule or the nematocyst present on the tentacles and the body. So they are present all over the tentacles, like you have seen the hydra. If you remember the structure of hydra, hydra is like a polyp stage, okay, and it is having many tentacle like this, right? It is having many tentacles like this. Now these tentacles are having numerous nematocyst cell. So the cnidoblast are used for the anchorage. They are helpful in attaching to any surface. The organism get attached to the surface. So for the anchorage, they are helping. For the defense, sometimes the enemy of the organism come. They could harm to the cnidarians. So this stinging cell is helping them. This cnidocytes or the cnidoblast cells are helping them as a defense. They use it as a defense, right? And also, sometimes they capture their prey. They capture their prey with the help of this cnidoblast cells, right? Let us see the figure. So this is the cnidoblast cells. Now this is the what? Sting of this. So earlier when the sting is not out, it is folded and it is present in this capsule-like structure like this. But as they see any organism that could harm to this cnidarians, or if they want to capture any prey, or if they want to get attached to any substratum, they take out this sting from inside with forcefully. Ejection is very forcefully, right? And that is going to help for the purpose of anchorage, defense, or the capture of the prey. So this is one of the structure of the cnidoblast cell, and this is the distinctive feature of this cnidoblast cells. Distinctive feature, or you can say the specific feature, because this type of cells, this type of cnidocytes cells are found only in the cnidarians, not in any other phylum. And you see this Cnidaria term is coming from this cnidoblast cells. Nido word, Cnidaria, common na? So that is why this phylum got its name, because of this particular cell only. So this is the very specific cell that found only in the cnidarians. As we have seen in the case of poriferans, the coinocytes or the collar cells that are found only in the case of porifera, not in any other phylum. Okay. So this is very, very important that you must remember this cnidoblast cell, the importance of cnidoblast. Cnidarians exhibit the tissue level of organization. So what about the poriferans? They are having the cellular grade of organization. Poriferans, though they are multicellular, but still they possesses the cellular grade of organization. Now this cnidarians, one step ahead. They are advanced than the poriferans because they are having the tissue level of organization. Tissue level of organization. We see different types of tissue in the body of cnidarians, right? And they are diploblastic. At the formation of the embryonic stages, you will see that the embryo cells arrange themselves into two layers. The outer one or the external one, that is called as ectoderm. Inner one or the internal one, that is called as endoderm. And in between the ectoderm and endoderm, there is a jelly-like layer that is called as mesoglea. But this is not the cellular one. So these two features we see, fundamental feature we see in the case of cnidarian, which is distinctive from the poriferans, right? Tissue level of organization, and they are diploblastic. They have a central gastrovascular cavity with a single opening, mouth on hypostome. So they are having the one cavity which is called as gastrovascular cavity. Amoeba is an example of unicellular organism, yes, but we are not going to study this here because they belongs to which kingdom? They belong to the Protista. Biological classification chapter, Protista, right? So we are studying here multicellular organism, not the unicellular one. So focus on this Coelenterata or the Cnidaria. Now, if you see the body structure, internal body structure, then you see they are having a cavity-like structure. The cavity-like structure that is called as gastrovascular cavity. They are having a cavity-like structure which is called as gastrovascular cavity. And they are having single opening, only one opening is there, right? That is called as mouth on hypostome. Hypostome is somewhat like you can say such a structure, and tentacles are there. Many tentacles are there, and there is a small opening on the hypostome that is called as mouth, right? So single opening is there. Digestion is extracellular and intracellular. Both the type of digestion we see in the case of Coelenterata, that they take the organism inside their body, they digest them inside the cell. But sometime what happen? They release out the enzymes, they digest it, and then they take inside that. So both extracellular and intracellular, both the type of digestion is reported here. Extracellular digestion means the enzymes are released. The enzymes are released on the organisms, okay, and some sort of digestion is there, and then they engulf that. So this is the digestion that is occurring outside the body, extracellular, outside the cell, extracellular. But sometimes they engulf the organism or any food particle, and then they digest it inside their cells, intracellular, right? Some of the cnidarians, example corals, have a skeleton composed of the calcium carbonate, right? So this is one of the example that you must remember, that they are a type, corals are type of animals, and they belongs to the phylum Coelenterata. They look like a rock, colorful rock, but this colorful rock is because of the presence of the skeleton, and that is composed of calcium carbonate, right? This is a type of animal, corals. Cnidarians exhibit the two basic body forms. This is very, very important. Two basic body form, polyp and medusa. I've already explained you about that. Polyp and medusa, two stages, two body forms you can say in their life cycle. So here you can see the medusa one, Aurelia, and the Adamsia, that is showing the polyp stage. Polyp stage, this is the polyp stage. You can see tubular or the cylindrical structure. Mouth is upward. They are sessile. They are not movable. They are mostly responsible for the asexual reproduction. But what about the medusa stage? They are bell shape, or you can say umbrella shape. Mouth is downward. They can swim from one place to the another. Free swimming stages. This is the free swimming stage of the organism, right? They bear the sex organs, male reproductive organ and the female reproductive organ, right? And sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction is done by this medusa stage. So this is very, very important. The former is sessile, means polyp is sessile and they are cylindrical, that you see in the case of Hydra and Adamsia. Hydra and Adamsia. Whereas the latter is umbrella shaped. Latter means the second one, that is the Medusa. Medusa is umbrella shaped and free swimming like Aurelia and jellyfish. Right? So you must remember the polyp stage, cylindrical in shape, and we see in the case of Hydra and Adamsia. Hydra and Adamsia. Whereas the Medusa stage, free swimming, umbrella shape, and they are seen in the case of Aurelia or jellyfish. Jellyfish is the example. Jellyfish is the example of the cnidarians. And scientifically it is called as Aurelia. Aurelia. Now, those cnidarians which exist in both the forms exhibit alternation of generation. What does this mean? The cnidarians which exist in both the forms, it means that both the stages, polyp and medusa is found in that organism. Means at one particular stage they will have polyp and then comes the medusa stage. Right? So, but some of the organism, they are having only polyp or only medusa. Only polyp stage is there and only medusa stage is there. But there are some examples in which both the medusa and polyp stage exist. That we see here in the case of like Obelia. Obelia is another example. Obelia is another example in which we see the medusa as well as the polyp stage. So this is very, very important to note down. Hydra and Adamsia, they show only polyp stage. Aurelia or jellyfish only exhibit medusa stage. But Obelia example, they are present in both, like both the stages are seen in their life cycle. Polyp stage also and medusa stage. Clear it is? Now, this alternation of generation, remember this term, metagenesis. Metagenesis is the term that is given to the alternation of generation. That we see in the case of Obelia. That first of all, they are having the polyp stage. Produces medusa. When the polyp gets mature, it produces the medusa stage, right? And that asexually and medusa form the polyp sexually. So this is the stage that alternate. First polyp will come, then comes the medusa, and medusa will give again polyp stage. Then again medusa, then again polyp. So this alternation of generation goes on and goes on in the case of Obelia. Because both the stages are reported in this organism. And the alternation of generation, that is polyp leads to the medusa and medusa leads to the polyp. This is called as metagenesis. This term is very, very important. Very, very important. Right? Now here we are having some examples. Physalia. Physalia is called as Portuguese man of war. Portuguese man of war. They are also called as blue bottle. Sometimes they are also called as blue bottle. They are marine and they are found in Atlantic Ocean and also in the Indian Ocean. It is considered to be the some species as the Pacific man of war or the blue bottle, which is found mainly in the Pacific Ocean. Right? So they are hermaphrodite. Yes, they are hermaphrodite. Okay. So we are having the Physalia, that is commonly called as Portuguese man of war. Adamsia, they are called as sea anemone. Sea anemone. Pennatula, they are commonly called as sea pen. Gorgonia, commonly called as sea fan. And Meandrina, commonly called as brain coral. So, you must remember the scientific name as well as their common name. Why? Why you must remember both these things? Match the column type of question. Match the column type of question can be asked from this scientific name and this common name can be asked to match, right? So if you remember both the name, then you can easily get the answer, right? So you have to memorize this. Okay. Remember polyp and medusa stage. Remember they are diploblastic tissue level of organization, right? They are having the nidoblast cells. These are some of the very, very important features from the coelenterate or cnidaria. Now the next phylum. Next phylum is the Ctenophora. Ctenophora. Ctenophores, commonly known as sea walnut. If you see the structure of the ctenophores, they look like the walnuts or the comb jellies. Comb jellies. Why this jelly is there? The word jelly, because you see the jelly like substance that could be squeezed, right? And why they are called comb? So this thing we will see, because they are having the comb like structure, the cilia, that helps in the process of locomotion, and they are having their body is like jelly, so that is why they are called as comb jelly. If you see the this, you all know what is walnut. That is a dry fruit, right? Walnut. So the structure of this organism, ctenophores, somewhat like walnut, and they are found in the sea. So that is why they are called as sea walnut. Okay. Exclusively marine. Exclusively marine means no ctenophores are reported that are found in the fresh water. I hope you know what is fresh water and what is marine. Fresh water means no salt is dissolved in it. Your pond, your river water, all are fresh water, right? And what is the marine water? In which the lot of salt is dissolved. Don't get confused with the fresh water and the drinking water. Drinking water is the potable water. Potable water is called as drinking water, right? Fresh water, your sewage is also the fresh water. Sewage is also the fresh water, because the salt which we see in the case of sea and ocean, that is not dissolved in this water. Though it is a very dirty water, but still it is a fresh water. So the term fresh is coming because the salt is not dissolved in it. So don't get confused that fresh means it is having not any the waste material, right? Sewage is also the fresh water. Potable water is the drinking water. Okay. Okay. So this is the exclusively marine, means all the organism reported in the phylum Ctenophores are found in marine environment. Radially symmetrical. Radially symmetrical. Diploblastic organism. So these two features are common with the previous phylum. Previous phylum, coelentrates, right? With tissue level of organization. This is also the feature of this. The body bears 8 external rows of the ciliated comb plates which help in the locomotion. Now let us see the figure of it. You can see the figure. This green color row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. So what it is written here? It body bears 8 external row of ciliated comb plates. And that is why it is called as comb jellies, because this whole body is like a jelly like, right? And they are having the comb plates, right? So what is the function of these comb plates? They are having cilia like structure that helps in the process of locomotion. Hmm? The example is pleurobrachia, Ctenophora pleurobrachia. Digestion is both extracellular and intracellular. So both the type of digestion is reported in the case of Ctenophora, extracellular as well as intracellular. Bioluminescence, the property of living organism to emit light, is well marked in ctenophores. This is a very unique feature. Jellyfish also, jellyfish also show this phenomena, bioluminescence, right? They emit light, and in the darkness, in the water, in the night also, you can see this organism. Sexes are not separate. Sexes are not separate. So they are hermaphrodite. Both the sexes are found in the same individual. Male reproductive organ and the female reproductive organ both are found in the case of same organ. So they are hermaphrodite. Reproduction takes place only by the sexual means. Very, very important point. See, the 2 points are very important here, that they are exclusively marine and the reproduction takes place only by the sexual means. No asexual reproduction is reported in the case of Ctenophora. And many times the question has been asked from these 2 points, right? Fertilization is external. Fertilization is external means the gametes, the male gametes and the female gametes are released in the water. In the water. And when the fertilization takes place, the zygote is formed, and the zygote will form the larva. The larva. Now, this larva didn't look like the adult Ctenophora. It didn't look like. So, the development is indirect. The development is indirect, right? These are the very, very important features of the phylum Ctenophora. You must remember they are exclusively marine. Reproduction takes place only by the sexual means. They are having comb plates. They are having bioluminescence. They emit light in the dark, right? Hmm? Fertilization is external, indirect development. They are having the larval stage. Now, examples. Examples are the Pleurobrachia and Ctenoplana. These are the two examples of the phylum Ctenophora. So here you can see the Pleurobrachia structure. The Pleurobrachia look like this. They are having the 8 comb plates and two more. You can say a group of cilia-like structure. These comb plates and this cilia-like structure helps in the process of locomotion. Next phylum is the Platyhelminthes. Platyhelminthes. Now we are having the 3 worms phylum: Platyhelminthes, Aschelminthes, and Annelida. 3 worm-like organisms. But all the 3 phylums are totally different from each other, and that is why they are kept in the different phylum. Remember 3 worm phylum. The first one is the Platyhelminthes, next comes the Aschelminthes, and then comes the Annelida. Right? Okay. Now we will discuss first of all the Platyhelminthes. The Platyhelminthes. They have dorso-ventrally flattened body. Dorso-ventrally flattened body means the body is flat, like very flat. Like you see the paper. The paper is having the 2 surface. The one surface that is above, that is the dorsal surface, and the another surface that is below it. Below the dorsal, that is the ventral surface. So similarly, the worms are flat and they are dorso-ventrally flattened. And that is why these worms are commonly called as flatworms. Worms are commonly called as flatworms. And if you see the name of the phylum, Platyhelminthes, divide it here. Platy means flat, and helminths means worms, flatworms, right? These are mostly endoparasite. Most of the organism from the platyhelminthes are endoparasite. They are found inside the body of the organism, endoparasite. and they are found in the animals, including human beings. Okay, they are found in the human body also. So that is why they are called as endoparasites. Some of the organisms are just present on our body surface only. They do not go inside the body, but they are present on the our body surface. So they are called as ectoparasites. They are called as ectoparasite. But some get enter inside the body. They live inside our gut. They live inside our tissue, and that is why they are called as endoparasites. Hmm? So here are the two examples of the platyhelminth. The first one, tapeworm, tapeworm, Taenia solium. Now here you can see such a long tape. That is why the tape, the measuring tape you see, the measuring tape is quite a long, right? In the same way, here is the head and the mouth is present at this particular point. And these segments are called as proglottids. These segments are called as proglottids. And they are they are present in the pork. You know what is pork? The meat of pig. The people who consume the pig meat and that meat is not cooked in a proper way, then these proglottids can be present in that meat. And if it is not cooked properly, then this proglottid get enter inside your stomach, in gut, and they will produce whole organism inside our body, right? So this is very very important. Tapeworm. Hmm? And the another one, liver fluke. This is found in the case of sheep. Okay, sheep. So they are endoparasite in some animals, including the human beings. So this tapeworm is reported that they are found in the human beings. Okay. Flatworms are bilaterally symmetrical. If you divide the organism, it can divide it into two equal halves, left half and right half. Bilaterally symmetrical. The first phylum, leech is not platyhelminth. Leech comes to the Annelida. We will see that when we will study about Annelida. So there we can see. Okay. So they are bilaterally symmetrical. You can divide the organism into two equal halves, left half and right half. Bilaterally symmetrical. Triploblastic, first time the organism is triploblastic. Before this phylum, Ctenophora, Cnidaria, both are diploblastic. But this first time platyhelminthes is the triploblastic. Acoelomate. Acoelomate. What is the meaning of acoelomate? No body cavity. No body cavity is found in the animal. Right? And organ level of organization. See here. Organ level of organization. First time we see the organ formation. Before this phylum, they are having the tissue level of organization, but here they are having organ level of organization. Diploblastic means two germinal layer that we have seen in the case of Cnidaria and the Ctenophora. But here, first time triploblastic. Acoelomate, no body cavity. No body cavity is reported here. Right? So these are very, very important feature of this platyhelminth. Bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic, acoelomate, and organ level of organization. You have to remember all these features. Next point. Hooks and suckers are present in the parasitic form. Those worms that are parasites that are present inside the body of the organism, they are having hooks. So what is the function of hook there? Hook is there so that they could get attached with that to the tissue. Okay, those are helpful to get attached to the body surface, like if they are present inside the stomach or in the intestine. So with the help of this hook, they get attached to the inner lining of the intestine. Suckers. At the head region, they are having suckers. So they can suck the food material from there. They get attached. They get attached to the tissue and they can suck the food material. Right? So hooks and suckers are found in the parasitic form of the worms that belongs to the phylum Platyhelminth. Some of them absorb nutrients from the host directly through their body surface. Now, very, very important feature. This Platyhelminthes, they do not have any digestive system. They are not having any digestive system. Why they are not having any digestive system? Because they live inside our body, and their body surface means this parasite body surface absorbs the nutrient from their body surface only. So there is no need of digesting the food material. They are already absorbing all the digested food material that are present inside our body. So in our intestine, the food is almost digested. So if they are present in our intestine, they will absorb that all digested food material. So very smart they are, right? They do not possesses any digestive system, and they are absorbing that nutrient which our body has digested with the help of so many enzymes. And what they are doing? They are smartly taking all that nutrients from their body surface. Right? Very, very important feature of this phylum. No, sanguivorous. Sanguivorous are those organisms that suck the blood, like your leeches, Urinaria, Urinaria leech, that belongs to the phylum Annelida, not to this phylum, right? So basically, they are absorbing the digested food material. They get attached with the help, and whatever the digested food material is present in your intestine, they will absorb that thing. They will not absorb your blood. Specialized cells called flame cells. Here, listen this. Flame cells help in osmoregulation and excretion. So, in the case of human, this osmoregulation and excretion function is done by kidney. In the same way, in Platyhelminthes, the osmoregulation and excretion process is done by Platyhelminth. It is done by flame cells. It is done by flame cells. In Platyhelminthes, osmoregulation means balance of water and electrolytes. Balance of water and electrolytes in the body. Right? So that is osmoregulation. And excretion means to remove out the waste material from the body. So both these things, maintaining the water and electrolyte balance and removal of the waste material, excretion, that is done by with the help of flame cells. Sexes are not separate. So they are also hermaphrodites. Fertilization is internal and the development is through many larval stage. No, they are not united. United means the male reproductive organ and the female reproductive organ is both are found in same individual. The organ is found in same individual, right? Same individual. Like you see in the case of like earthworm also. Earthworm also hermaphrodite. Like you see in the flower, hmm, both are having both are having same like male reproductive organ as well as the female reproductive organ. Now listen this. Fertilization is internal. Fertilization is internal. So they produces the gametes, the male gamete, the female gamete, and the fertilization is internal, right? No, earthworm is not a type of platyhelminthes. Earthworm is totally different. Earthworms are totally different from platyhelminthes. Okay, they are totally different. We will see when we will study about the Annelida. Once you will study about all the three phylum of the worms, Platyhelminthes, Aschelminthes, and Annelida, then you will be able to identify them. The worms that are flat, dorsal surface, ventral surface, they are called as Platyhelminthes. The worms that are round in shape, round, that are Aschelminthes. And the worms that are segments are present, then they are called as Annelida, right? So three types of worms are there. That is why I've already told you about this before starting this platyhelminthes. Okay, so Annelida, they are totally different from the platyhelminthes. Okay, coming to the next point. Fertilization is totally internal. Development is through many larval stages. So we are having many larval stages in platyhelminth. Some members like planaria possesses high regeneration capacity. They are having very high regeneration capacity. If the organism is cut into 2-3 pieces, each piece will develop into a new organism. So that process is called as regeneration. Okay, so that is reported in this particular phylum, regeneration. They are having very high capacity of the regeneration. So if we talk about the examples, then it is Taenia solium, tapeworm, Fasciola, liver fluke. Again, you must remember this two names: Taenia, tapeworm, Fasciola, liver fluke. Why? Match the column type of question. So here you can see flat worms. Why they are called flat? Because you can see this surface. This is the dorsal surface, and just below it, behind it, they are having the ventral surface. Dorsal surface, ventral surface. Right? In this case of this tapeworm also, they are also having the dorsal surface, and below this, they are having the ventral surface. And that is why they are called as flat worm. Next phylum, Aschelminthes. The body of the Aschelminthes is circular in cross section. Hence, they are named as roundworms. So, what about the platyhelminthes? Flatworms. Aschelminthes, roundworms. If you cut the organism, if you cut any roundworm, okay, Aschelminthes worm, you will see that they are having like this circular body surface, like this circular body surface. Platyhelminthes, they are having like this flat body surface. This is the dorsal and this is the ventral. Okay, this we see in the case of platyhelminthes, and this the round worms, the round surface we see in the case of Aschelminthes. They may be free living, aquatic, terrestrial, or parasite in plants and animals. So there are many types. Some of the organisms are reported as a free living. They live in the environment. Some are aquatic, found in aquatic environment. Some are terrestrial, found on the land. And some are parasites that are found in the case of plants and animals. So here we see the example of Aschelminthes, that is the roundworm, male and female. Sexually dimorphism phenomena we can see here. Sexually dimorphism phenomena means by seeing the organism, you can tell that which is male and which is female. That is called as sexually dimorphism. Because male and female are not of same length. You can see the length and you can see the curve like structure, the width of the worm. The female is quite longer and they could have a turn like this. The male are shorter and you can see here the male cirri, the male reproductive organs are here at this end. So that phenomena is called as sexually dimorphism, that by just seeing the external morphology that you can tell that this is the male worm and this is the roundworms have the organ system level of organization. Now again, this is one step ahead from the previous one, because in the previous we have seen organ level of organization. Organ formation took place there. But here what you see, organ system level of body organization we see. Right? So that is why this particular feature is advanced than the platyhelminth. Right? They are bilaterally symmetrical. Body can be divided into two equal halves, left half and right half. Bilaterally symmetrical. Triploblastic. Three germinal layers are there. Triploblastic. Hmm? Pseudocoelomate animal. Pseudocoelomate. False body cavity. And yesterday we have discussed about what is the meaning of false body cavity. The body cavity that is not lined by the mesoderm layer, that is called as pseudocoelomate. Right? Alimentary canal is complete. They are having alimentary canal complete. Why complete? Because they are having two opening, one mouth and one anus. If the alimentary canal is having just one opening, then it is called as incomplete alimentary canal, incomplete digestive system. Right? But here they are having two opening, one mouth and anus, then that is why it is called as complete digestive system. And they are having muscular pharynx. Muscular pharynx. An excretory tube removes the body waste from the body cavity through the excretory pore. They are having a pore-like structure through which all the waste materials are removed out from the body. Sexes are separate. Now here you can see first time we see they are having the two distinct separate sexes, male and female, and they are distinct, right? Dioecious. Often females are longer than males. Fertilization is internal and development may be direct development, because the young one resemble totally like adulthood, right? And in some of the worms, indirect stages also seen because they are having the larval stage. Now, if we talk about the examples, then Ascaris, that is the roundworms, Wuchereria, filaria worm that causes filariasis diseases, Ankylostoma, hookworm. So here you can see male and female. Female. Often the females are longer than the males. Here you can see, right? Now we will summarize today's lecture. Coelentrates, Cnidaria consist of the aquatic animals with the radial symmetry. Stinging cells called the cnidoblast, including the jellyfish and the coral. Ctenophora, known as the comb jellies, and the transport marine animals with 8 rows of ciliated plates for the locomotion. They are having the 8 plates of ciliated rows that helps in the process of locomotion. Platyhelminthes are the flatworms with the bilateral symmetry and no body cavity. Aschelminthes, now they are called as nematoda. They are having a new name that is called as nematoda, and they are cylindrical worms, roundworms, and with a pseudocoelomate, containing both free living and the parasitic species that are found in the diverse habitats worldwide. So this is all about today's session. Now we will have our DPP. I'll just take a minute, okay, and then come up with today's DPP. So be with us. So here comes the first question of your DPP. Okay. An undifferentiated layer, mesoglea, is present in which of the organism we see this mesoglea layer? Mesoglea means the organism that is having only two germinal layer, ectoderm and endoderm. And in between, they are having the mesoglea layer. So undifferentiated layer, that is mesoglea, is present in option A, fasciola, B, ankylostoma, C, Uridaria, and D, Adamsia. So which organism? Fasciola, ankylostoma, Uridaria, all these are having mesoderm. Adamsia is the correct one. Adamsia is the correct one. Okay. So we'll save this and we will move to the next question. Roundworms are different for the platyhelminthes from platyhelminthes in which of the following feature? Roundworms are different from the platyhelminthes by which feature? A, roundworms are triploblastic. B, roundworms have complete digestive system. C, roundworms have flat cells, flame cells. And D, all of the above. So roundworms are different from the platyhelminthes in having complete digestive system. Roundworms are having the complete digestive system. Next, bioluminescence. Bioluminescence is a characteristic of Taenia fasciola. Which phylum you have studied about the bioluminescence? A, Taenia fasciola. B, Ctenoplana pleurobrachia. C, Obelia and Ctenoplana. And D, Hydra and Ascaris. So which one is having? B, Ctenoplana and pleurobrachia, because they belong to the phylum Ctenophora. So we will opt this, save it, and move to our next question. In which phylum do organisms exhibit metagenesis? Metagenesis, alternation of generation between the polyp and medusa form. A, Ctenophora. B, Coelenterata or Cnidaria. C, Platyhelminthes. And D, Annelida. So just now, today only we have studied about the phylum Cnidaria or the Coelenterata, right? So there we have seen the polyp and medusa stages. So we will opt option B, right? And we will save and move to the next question. What is the primary excretory structure in the platyhelminthes? Primary excretory structure in the platyhelminthes. A, nephridia. B, flame cells. C, Malpighian tubules. And D, proboscis gland. Which option is correct? B, yes. Flame cells is the excretory structure in the case of platyhelminthes. Yes, very good. We will save it and submit the test and check whether our answers are correct or wrong. So, all the answers are correct. Okay. So, this is all about today's session. Thank you very much for connecting with us. We will meet it tomorrow, same time. Thank you very much.